This is Mike Corey from ESPN, and you're listening to the Sports Objective Podcast, the unofficial podcast of the Pirates.
My heart is purple and gold. I'm a pirate down to my soul, and I don't back down, not at all. Find out when the cannons explode, from the sidelines down to the post. Put it down like not even close. All out to the last whistle blow. For the flag of the soul and crossbones. Everybody stand up, get your hands up.
Welcome into the Sports Objective here tonight. Very special shows. We have the Sports Objective under the lights, so to speak. Appreciate Bubba Rosenbaum. He's producing, working hard behind the scenes. Appreciate you, buddy. Kyle Barber, how are you, man?
What's going on, Dave? It's freezing to death. For some reason it's cold in my house. I'll turn my heat up and put on a hoodie. But besides that, I'm good.
All right. Well, maybe we'll keep you awake tonight. You won't start snoring on the show, especially when we have a very special guest, the Board of Trustees Chair at East Carolina University, Scott Shuck. Scott, welcome back to the show.
Thanks so much, Dave. Glad to be here. And it's fun to be around in December worried about hotel rooms and bowl tickets.
No question about it. I want to, first of all, thank you for coming on the show, being a Board of Trustees Chair. I appreciate your transparency. I appreciate the hard work. Starting off with, there's so much to talk about. It's kind of like the Smokey and the Bandit song, Eastbound and Down. There's a long way to go and a short time to get there, so we'll get started. First of all, awesome job to get I know it was a lot of people involved, but you as playing the role of the chair of the Board of Trustees with the Mike Houston contract extension. I know that the good thing, Scott, also a good problem to have is the fact we have a coach that other schools won't, right?
That's right. And it's been a while since we've had that issue, right? When you start worrying at the end of the year what's going to happen, and who's looking for coaches and whose names are circulating around. But really hat tip to John Gilbert for bringing that home. John's done a tremendous job. He's got a great relationship with Mike. They work very well together, and John's a pleasure to work with, and it's a pleasure to watch him, really guide us through. And we've been through a lot the last couple of years, and last year with the COVID year, and this year finally having some fans back and get some momentum in the program. And it's fun to watch people that work so hard finally get some payoff for their hard work. And it was good to be able to recognize and be able to do some things for Mike, as well as the assistant coaches that deserve it as well. And so we're making an investment in the future, and that's what it is. I mean, we're spending a lot of money for coaches. It's a record for what we've ever spent on football coaches, but that's the reality of the business market, the reality of the situation where we are today. And I think we're making that investment for the future, because I think that Mike Houston can do. I've just always been happy knowing beginning years ago when he was going to be our coach, and it was 3 years to the day that he was announced as coach, and we were able to get him inked, sign on an extension. So it's been a fun ride, and we've been through a lot with him, but it's nice to see where we are today from a program versus where we were 3 years ago. And that's why I think the raise and the new contract was well more than justified.
Scott, do we know where we are in terms of getting a bigger salary pool for the assistants?
That process has been approved through the Board of Trustees. The number is kind of up to Mike. I mean, we've given him some guidance of what to work with, and so there is a pool of money available for him to go out. He's going to control that pool of money and give that to the assistants and control what the assistants get paid. So yes, we're there. We're bringing our assistants more in line with where the conference is. Certainly not at the top, but we're no longer at the bottom.
And can you disclose how big that pool of money is?
At this time, I mean, we don't know exactly, and quite frankly, trying to let Mike control that process to know exactly what he's working with, and by the time it's all said and done, that number will come out obviously. But I think it's a significant investment. And like the contract for Coach Houston, it's the most we've ever paid pools of assistants too. So we're stepping up and making investments. So we'll see exactly where that number comes in, but it's a significant number.
Good.
As far as the contract goes, look, I actually have it right here, but I believe the buyout was $2 million. Can you talk about buyout and the fact I know it goes down, I believe, 250,000 each year.
That's right. And I think his old buyout was down to $1 million before. So I mean, we went from 1.5 to 2.3, but doubled the buyout. I think I'm correct about that. But part of what we do, if you look at across kind of the area of coaches' salaries, we give a little less guaranteed money than what a lot of schools give. Okay, so if for some reason we decide to fire Mike Houston, it's not like we've ever fired a football coach around here, but if we decide to do that, you pay him, $1.4 million a year, not the 2.3. So the guaranteed money, but then that dollars also have offsets to him. So in other words, if he goes out and gets a job for $1 million a year, then we only owe 400. And so in a lot of areas and coaches and contracts that you get have no offsets for that. So if you fire somebody, you just owe them the guaranteed amount. So I mean, it's a give and take. So it's not, we don't have so much of a buyout that, if something happened that, the coach may be bitter about that part of the contract versus another. So it's a balancing routine, but it does protect us, I think, going forward. Because if somebody hires Coach Houston away, I mean, obviously there's a bucket of money that if you go out and hire a head coach, you're probably going to have to buy somebody else out, right? I mean, everybody's got a buyout. So, having a buyout and increasing that was significant. But I think, it'd be great if it were $100 million and we always want to keep him, but that's not the reality of kind of where these negotiations kind of end up. So I think we're in a good place, and both sides, I think, are protected in that.
Scott, when you talk about buyouts, kind of makes me think of a follow-up question, and not the best timing on asking the question, but if I don't go ahead and ask it, I'll forget. Where are we at? How much longer do we have to pay Jeffrey Comfer, and how much do we still owe him?
The monthly amount, I don't. It's a certain amount per month, and it's
like 22,000.
I don't know. It's something like that, but I just don't want to quote the numbers. I don't know exactly. I mean, we can follow up and get it for you. It's the same number it's been the whole time. But we have a March or April of 2023 is when it ends. So basically a year and a half.
Can't we just stop paying him and tell him to sue our ass to get his money?
That could be one time that you could do that. And if you did that, you'd have to pay him the money and pay a lot of legal fees, unfortunately, probably.
I think it'd be worth it just so he'd have to hire a lawyer and tie him up in court.
We'd probably end up having to pay those legal fees too. So,
Yeah.
There's.
I don't know, man. Pretty negligent of his job. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, those monies are not paid out of state dollars. They're paid out of foundation dollars and stuff like that. So, I mean, but it's still money that we have at our disposal, right? That's tied up on that, not something else. But year and a half.
We talked to John Gilbert. By the way, a shameless plug, you can actually watch that interview on YouTube. We'll have an audio podcast form, and like this show, we'll have that for this weekend, including the head baseball coach of the Pirates, Cliff Godwin. We'll have those two together. But Scott, wanted to ask you, as far as one of the things I'm very excited about to hear John Gilbert say today, something we've been wanting a long time, is an investment in athletics. And what I say to people is I'm kind of the guy, go big or go home, but put it out there, put a plan out there to folks and say, okay, this is what it's going to cost. And Pirate Nation, if you want that indoor practice facility, you want those baseball amenities for Coach Cliff Godwin, you want the stuff for Joe Dooley, et cetera, then guess what? You're going to have to pay for it. And we don't have state money. So it's going to be up to Pirate Nation. And I'm happy to hear John say today that sometime next year, in 2022, we're going to have that where people can invest in the program. And I think that's what's missing right now. I really do, is the tangible results, meaning that indoor practice facility. We got that going on right now. We have this going on. Just want to get your thoughts on that because, again, I appreciate your transparency, and you've always been good to us about coming on.
Yeah, and I'll say that certainly, and I agree 100%. And I know that's something that John's talked about for a while. And, you kind of want to come with some design about what you're raising money for. The goal is to have all of those things and more. As you know, the university, in our last board trustee meeting, I guess back in October, we announced a public phase of an overall fundraising campaign for the university, and it's been in a private phase for a while, and raised a significant amount of money for that. And so all, the medical foundation, the ECU foundation, as well as the athletic Foundation, all of those are a part of this. So, having opportunities to give money and to raise money through all of those, but athletics is certainly at the top of the list. And you're exactly right. We need to make some investments into those facilities, and we need to do a lot of other things, because I think the business model changes some degree with everything. But you go back and look at other, we don't have state resources, but what we do have, we've got a strong Pirate Club, and then the other thing we have is attendance. And so if you traditionally look, what our business model is built around is Pirate fans supporting the program, be it by making donations and joining the Pirate Club, or buying season tickets and showing up for games. And being in a situation last year where you couldn't really have fans, in the stands and a lot of things, and baseball is one of those. We had one of our best years in a long time, and you couldn't sell season tickets for that, because of COVID. Now we could catch up later in the year, so all those are difficult. But yes, I tell people this, say we need to keep Houston here, and I agree, and we're going to sign a contract, and we did. He said, but at some point in time, very shortly, somebody's going to come ask you for some money, and this is going to leave a mark. Okay, this one needs to hurt. We all need to give. It's time for the qualifications of giving need to stop. We've heard before. I'll give this when we do this or when we do that. I mean, if we need to support it, we need to step up. I'm not saying you got to agree with everything that's happened all the time, but look. At ECU, we don't have the resource of a lot of other people, but we have the pride and the spirit to do it. And I remember a long time ago, and it's in 1996, and I was a poor old banker out in the Outer Banks, and I went to a Pirate Club event, and I heard Walter Williams get up and speak, and he talked about how we as at ECU have to do things differently than everybody else, because we're not the university of, okay? We're not going to have a lot of the things that other universities are going to have. If we want those things, we got to stick together and give. And he said at that time, if your diploma on your wall is not worth $300 a year donation to the Pirate Club, you need to take it off the wall and send it back in. And he said, that night they had, the old Pyromatic banking for $25 a month. And I signed up. And every single month since then, I've given some money to the Pirate Club. Loved it. Now, it's a whole lot more than $25 a month, okay? But at the same point in time, he was saying, look, it doesn't matter what size dome, where you can fit, and what you can do. But we all need to do our part. We all need to step up. And I can tell you, where we want to go is out there in front of us. You see some of the other schools we're competing against, or some of the ones that are leaving. Houston, Central Florida, and Cincinnati. Okay, their athletic budgets are in the $70 to $80 million range, which is about double what we spend. Okay, now in the long run, you can't compete against that day in and day out. In a given year, we might sneak up and beat somebody here, beat somebody there, but taking on that every single year is not a winning proposition if you're spending half the amount of money. Now, those teams are going. We're adding quite a few new teams. I know you talked a lot about that. That's a conference that we can win in, and I think it's shown what Cincinnati can do. You win in this conference, and you can go all the way to the playoff, okay? So we've got the pieces in place. We've started to see some of that. We need to catch a little lightning in a bottle, and I think, putting the trophy in the trophy case this year and add to that momentum. But exactly right. I'm excited about John and Ryan and the rest of the Pirate Club staff, and Tony Cannon's on the Pirate Club board. He's supposed to be committed to help raising money to do this, but we all need to do our part. So, yeah, it's been a long time coming, but I'm ready for it.
Yeah, and I agree with you about the Pirate Club. One thing that's troubled me over the last several years with the Pirate Club is, the people that are there, are stepping up and donating, but the numbers keep shrinking. And we need to do something to grow the Pirate Club. If you have a bigger pool of people to get money from, obviously you're going to be able to get more money. I don't know what we're doing to grow the Pirate Club, to get former members back and get new members in. I think sometimes we need to be a little bit more creative. I've had some ideas that I've thought about that I probably need to email some people about on ways we can. What Bubba's talked about many times. Bubba's in the Charlotte area. He's a Pirate Club rep. He talks to people all the time that, they want something tangible. They can't make it all the games. And you want people to give to the Pirate Club because they want to help fund scholarships and help ECU athletics. And that's why, people like me and Bubba and Dave give, but you got some people that got to get something for what they give. And, I think we need to be clever on how to get distant pirates interested. I have a whole scenario in my head of something we can do that I need to actually type up the email and send out to John and Ryan that I think is pretty creative and clever. And I think it could work, but you have to get people to believe in it and try it.
Yeah, well, hey, look, ideas like that are always welcome and open, and hats off to folks like Ryan and stuff that will listen. Part of the issue, obviously, when you don't win, it's harder to grow your numbers. I mean, just be frank. I mean, when you don't win one year, that's one thing, but when you go through a struggle for, the amount of time we've been through it, for those of us that love it, it hadn't been fun, right? But you go through, at the end of all that, you go through a COVID year and they had to cut down salaries and staff so close to the bone to survive it financially. The first thing that's got to happen is you got to put the staff back in place to be able to do that. And if you've seen recently, with the hires that we've had this past fall, we've started to do that. So I think the Pirate Club is getting in a place where we got the manpower in place to be able to do some of this stuff. So, but any ideas? I mean, look, post this stuff. Let's share it. It's not like I can tell you, Ryan. He's got a lot of great ideas, but he's not going to think he's the only one with great ideas. I tell him great ideas all the time. I call him at 9 o'clock at night, wake him up, and say, Ryan, why aren't you doing this? But we have a good relationship and love him to death. But I'd love to hear what you have to say too, Kyle. So, love to hear it because I think when everybody's excited about things, then that's the biggest part of what you've got to change, and we've started to see that.
Well, it involves, it's be too hard to explain here on the air, but it kind of involves today's current environment of where we are in terms of streaming content, ESPN Plus, Amazon Prime kind of things, aka pirateware.com, 24/7 type sites. East Carolina, why not build their own that, exclusive for Pirate Club members? To me, you could do a subscription-based service that involves several different things you get for that subscription. And, a monthly fee, and you get a bunch of things for it, and that's your Pirate Club donation.
Yeah. I remember years ago we had the Pirate Chest. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Back in the day when you were a Pirate Club member, you got it was not that we would have. I mean, it was more like with Johnny Moore was a newspaper kind of thing. That was the old school way back, I know, in the 90s, but stuff like that is what I think that, I guess, amenities for Pirate Club members, but obviously things that wouldn't. At the same time, we have to be careful as Pirate Club members, knowing that we want to help our university, but at the same time, we don't want to hurt where the Pirate Club is paying out a whole bunch of stuff, taking money away from what we're trying to do, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's I think we'll get there, and but one of the biggest things we can do, I think, in reality, is when we play a football game in the month of December again, and you get that old swagger back, and that's what's been fun to watch this team this year. A bunch of guys that just don't quit. I mean, they just don't quit. They, I know we've seen a couple games. They're like, well, this is the point in time where other Pirate teams just lay down and we just go ahead and lose. I was fortunate enough to be in the Marshall game and seeing 17 points down. We're there and like, okay, I know where this is going. We got to go ahead and do this and quit and roll up. This is what's going to happen. And they didn't. Thank God they're not listening to me. They score a touchdown, get a stop. And they, so many gutsy calls in around that happen to go our way, and just they make their own luck. And it didn't always work out for every game coming down, but they were in them all. And that's fun to watch.
Hey, Kyle, who was the only one that said we'd win the Marshall game?
Who was the only one who said we win the Marshall game?
Yeah,
I guess you, dude. I mean,
yeah, you remember when you guys were mad and all that, and I said, hold on, we're going to win this game. I just said,
well, to be fair, Dave, you say we're going to win every damn game.
Not every
individual.
Yeah.
But
I still believe. No, I believed in the team because of the fact that the team doesn't give up and they don't fight. Now, under the Mo era, you never heard me say that. So, no offense, but
well, you're not insane, Dave. You're just super optimistic. There's probably a better question for John Gilbert. I should have asked him today, Scott. But Coach Dooley has, after this year, will have 1 year left on his contract. Where are we at with him in terms of an extension? Is it going to depend on how the season plays out? What do you know about that?
That's a great question for our athletic director. Look, obviously, I want to see us win. I like Coach Dooley. Every year I pick us to win 20 ball games, and once every 10 years I'm right, I think. But, I think you got to be happy at what's happened on the floor so far this year. I mean, we've got some talented people that can shoot and make shots. I kind of always joke, so we got a bunch of people who can shoot. We don't have many who can hit. And this year they're going to do that. And I think one good thing about Dooley's teams along the way is always, once they start and play together, they tend to play pretty good defense. And so I think that's one thing this team can do a little bit more is play a little bit more defense. But, we'll see. And I'll, we'll defer to John on that one. And I know he's in constant contact, and this time of year with Coach Dooley like he was with Mike. And I have confidence that we'll have a plan for the long-term success of basketball. But, I think basketball can get a little bit more competitive in the new league too. I think, it's murderer's row there for a while when you start looking at the schedule, and for just fun, you bring in Wichita State a couple of years ago. It's like, good grief, you competing against teams like Memphis, and what's their budget in basketball? It's good God. But hey, every now and then we pop up and win those. But one thing I started thinking about, and this is not related to Coach Dooley, but and the business model about everything is going to change, and it could have a positive impact in basketball. Is this name, image, and likeness, opportunities that a lot of things that used to happen below the table and below board and in basketball recruiting that, we never really participated in. You can start to do those things above board now. I mean, you want to help a basketball coach out. Let's put together some name, image, and likeness deals and put together a basketball team and bring them in. I think, you can start to see some of that stuff happen down the road that, that the whole business of college athletics may change and may impact basketball. And I still believe firmly that we can win in basketball at ECU. And I hope Dooley can get it done. You pull for him. I mean, the guy, he always gives everything when he's on the floor, and he's looked like he's just had the crap kicked out of him, even when he wins, but I mean, he's, and if you've ever been to practice, it's fun to watch him go. And so, but again, that's a great question for John Gilbert.
Well, I'll say this, what I've heard, Scott, so I'll just say that, is that we don't want to pay him $1.2 million next year, and that it would be easier to financially to basically offer him a 1-year extension, which he doesn't want, and then he would find another job, and we could take a assistant coach and pay him $300,000. And I'm just really worried about that. I hope that's not true, because basketball is, I will say this, even if you're a football fan and you only care about football, East Carolina, the one sport that we desperately need if we're ever going to be in a bigger conference, and I love the American, I'm not knocking the American, I'm just saying basically we need men's basketball to be really good. And that's our ticket right now, because football is going to be fine. We have Mike Houston. We have, of course, a great job with Cliff Godwin. I mean, a top 15, top 10 program, you could argue. The one sport that we desperately need to invest in and to not take for granted and lightly is basketball. And I'm a huge basketball fan, so I'm hoping that we all bleed purple and gold. And I'm just hoping that that's not true and that we'll invest in Dooley, because I really think we're going to have a winning season this year.
Well, I would say if you spend $300,000 on a head basketball coach, you're not going to be very successful. I don't care who you hire. You're not. And in this environment, when you go out in the world, in college basketball, it's just like football. Quality coaches cost money. Assistants cost money. You need to, again, you need to invest in those things. And you look, it's like in baseball. What we do, Cliff Godwin's done an amazing, a hell of a job of a coach. And look at the quality players, of quality men that he puts through the program. He can be more proud of people to represent East Carolina University in that. And, look, we spend at the top of the league in baseball, and we're checking all the boxes in baseball. I mean, right? I mean, we're not good. I mean, we're very good, and we're quality across with the character of everything, the character of the whole program. And we're getting, and you got to get some. You can't spend at the bottom of the league in a sport, and not in this league, and win.
Right.
And you can't do basketball on the cheap. So I don't know that there's any truth to something like that, because if you did that, you want to hire quality. It's going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, that's what I heard. I hope it's not true. So we're not rumor mill here. We're not message boards, believe it or not. So not doing that. But the very fact that Houston, we've already got that done. I know Cliff Godwin's going to do very well this year. And I think basketball is, I think we're heading in the right direction. We were killed by COVID last year. Kyle says as an excuse, but when you can't play, imagine not playing a football game for a whole month, 4 football games you miss.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, my
Right there,
point is, I don't say it's an excuse. What I say is that everybody was affected by COVID. Some people more than COVID was not just
people are
East
different.
Well, that's true. But as soon as we caught a little momentum last year, then we got hit up by it, and we just never seemed to be able to recover. And that was just it hit us at the wrong time with some stuff, and it affected everybody, but it hit us at the wrong time last year. And after you had a little bit of success and trying to put it back together mid-season, that was difficult. And I'm glad that's behind us.
One of the things I'm very happy about too, non-athletic related, very, very happy. We haven't had him on the show yet. You guys did a slam dunk, a grand slam hire, I think, at Chancellor Rogers. I'm a huge fan of his. Love his dad. Think his dad is wonderful. The pastor at Oakmont, and I really, really like him. I think he really fits the East Carolina model, the culture. I know that word is so overused, but I really believe that he gets what a pirate is all about, being a native of Greenville, well-educated. That's very important to me. He is a real academic. So I'm really thrilled of you guys have that straight. I think the athletic, really, what it really comes down to me, for example, in athletics is facilities.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the academic side of things, Scott, I know it's state money, but man, when you look at 10th Street, you drive up and down. My kids were wild with the new building, the science building. You're right there at Evans and 10th Street. That used to be a Chinese restaurant in the Szechuan. So when I was at East Carolina, so when you think about the progress since in the 90s when I was at school there to now academically, it's unbelievable. It's not even the same campus. And so that's what I'm wondering is how can I know we don't have the state dollars. I'm not saying we have the state dollars for athletics, but how do we match that? When you look at our campus academically and you look at the buildings, it's unbelievable. It's eye candy. The student center, unbelievable. I think Terry Holland did a nice job to get us at par or above par, a little bit above par. And I'm hoping that we can kind of do what he did, but just keep doing it every single year. We don't need to stop. I think that's the thing. If we're going to be in a big boy league, we're going to have to be big boys and big girls.
That's right. And this fundraising campaign is going to yield results, and it's going to yield tangible results and visual results and facilities and things of that nature. And it kind of go back to Chancellor Rogers, came in this year. There were some discussions over the past years and with Vidant about how to kind of solve the riddle that is the Brody School of Medicine and get viability for healthcare in Eastern North Carolina. And President Hines was there. I think I was on your show telling you, look, it's getting ready to get fun around here for people that are paying attention. And we brought together the agreement with Vidant. So very shortly, all the Vidant signs in all of Eastern North Carolina will come down, and ECU health signs will go up. That's going to be a source of regional pride everywhere around. So wherever there's a Vidant medical center somewhere, a Vidant hospital or a Vidant physician practice, it's going to say ECU Health on it. And the day that the Board of Governors gave the final approval for that was the same day Governor Cooper signed the bill, the budget that gave us money for the new Brody School of Medicine building. It wasn't planned that way. That's just, I think, a little divine intervention that finally shined a bright light on ECU after a long bit of struggle. And so before you go over that bridge, you're going to come up and see a brand new Brody School of Medicine building over there shortly going up, where we're going to be able to go from 80 new enrollees a year in the School of Medicine up to 120. So we're going to expand that. As soon as you come over the bridge on the right, and Chairman Davenport finished this work up before he got out of here, but I was fortunate enough to go the groundbreaking on this, which is the Millennial Campus. It's going to be right there on the right as soon as you come over the 10th Street connector with the left, the new hotel. And so all that eye candy is just getting started. And the Millennial Campus and the new businesses that can bring and the commerce that can bring to Greenville and the economic growth that's going to be here. And, you perform athletically, it'll all tie in together. So it's an exciting time to be here, to be a part of the university and to see what's out there. And on top of that, win some football games again. So, like I said, it's starting to feel good. And, when people are going around, help us, and I know you will, and you do a great job of this already, but, keep spouting off that, hey, we need everybody's support in here, and whatever your support is going to be, it'll be well welcomed, and we'll all get there together. But I think people will be surprised how far we move the needle quickly. I don't know of anything imminent, but I can tell you that there are some people that have, that are financially well off, that can make some sizable contributions, that are willing to do some things. I think we'll move the needle quicker on this fundraising campaign than we have on any one of the ones we've done in the past. And I have no insight. That's just my guess and my prediction.
I've heard it's going to be the Scott Shook indoor practice facility. Is that right? I mean, what do you think?
If I've got the naming rights, it's going to be a small one, and we didn't meet our goals. All right, so.
Or maybe Kyle Barber. Kyle is like me. We're huge wrestling fans. We want to have the WWE Vince McMahon or Vince and Linda McMahon indoor practice facility.
That's it'll be right. Somebody's name will go on it. That's for sure. So and I think that'll come to fruition faster than we think it will.
Scott, we got an email from a listener / viewer when he heard you were coming on. I think if I'm going to ask these questions, he wanted to ask. I'm going to provide his name. His name is Carson Hendricks.
Okay.
If that indeed is his real name. Are you familiar with Carson?
I don't know if I know Carson or not. Name sounds familiar.
Okay. He had several questions, and I'm going to paraphrase them. And they're a little salty. But he sent them in, so I'm going to ask them, and I'm going to paraphrase them, and you answer them as you feel you are comfortable answering them. And if there's something you don't want to address, then don't address it.
All right.
He spoke, and again, I'm paraphrasing. He spoke of how the UNC system and ECU administration have a history, and he's going back a long history here, over the years of driving off quality people. Pat Dye, he mentions. Obviously, Terry Holland, I agree with him there. Coach Ruff, agree with him there. And making some poor decisions of bringing in people like, Coach Mo, Cecil Staten, et cetera. He said, in these situations over the years, the ECU Board of Trustees has failed to protect the university from these destructive decisions. Or is ECU, the Board of Trustees, ultimately the destructive force?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can look back and say a lot of those things, and some of those things boards of trustees have say over, and some of them they don't. Obviously hires and that type of thing of football coaches and other things, boards of trustees have oversight on. Chancellors, that's board of governor level. It's an interesting model in North Carolina where the chancellor actually works for the board of governors, and the board of trustees advises the chancellor. So they technically don't work for the Philip Rogers doesn't work for the ECU Board of Trustees. He works for the system president in Chapel Hill, and then the Board of Governors in Chapel Hill. But obviously, I can tell you, I don't. Hindsight, we can all do a lot of things and how one thing played out into the other. I tend not to comment overly about people that were inside the room when they made decisions because I wasn't there. You know that only a couple of people that were in the room know those things. But hey, when you make those decisions and you do it, you gain the responsibility of making them. And if they're good, you look good, and if they're bad, you certainly don't look good, and you may do damage to the university if things don't work out right. And so those are fair questions to ask, and fair to look back in history. And I think it's something that as we all stand here today, we need to learn from the good and the bad of the past.
I had a couple more questions here that I'll get to, and then we'll wrap up this portion of the show. Currently, 8 of 12 members of the ECU Board of Trustees are elected by the UNC Board of Governors, with the 4 remaining members appointed by the General Assembly. The vast majority of the members of the UNC Board of Governors have ties to UNC Chapel Hill. How can we expect Chapel Hill supporters to elect quality leaders to the ECU Board of Trustees? Do you believe that the UNC system wants what's best for East Carolina?
Last item first, I believe that the UNC system wants the best for all member institutions. However, I will say that it doesn't take a lot to point out right now that there are no graduates from East Carolina University on the Board of Governors. And that, in the past couple of years, we've had quite a few, and now we're down to 0. There are certain people making that point to a lot of people when the opportunity certainly arises. And I've always said, it's a whole lot better to be at the table, because if you're not, you might be on the menu. Now, I will say this, that we do have some very good allies on the Board of Governors that help us with things. And I'll tell you that we've got a very good relationship with the president of the system, a relationship that I think is stronger than any past relationships that we've had. I was chairman of the board of State Board of Community Colleges when we hired Peter Hans to be president of the community college system. Happen to know President Hans fairly well throughout that. Didn't know him beforehand, but become pretty good friends with him since that. He's been hugely helpful in the Vidant deal and a few other things that we've had. So I think at this point in time, we've got very good relationships with things that are happening. And a couple of years ago, we were a problem. We were a source of issues that were coming up that the Board of Governors had to deal with. Now we have some successes that we can kind of talk about. But I agree. Look, we need to have ECU support on the Board of Governors. And
go ahead.
And I don't disagree with that. And those are appointed by the General Assembly. And in 2023, I believe that there will be some folks down east that will make their opinions known.
In the last part of Carson's email, when the ECU Board of Trustees does make a poor decision, what should ECU supporters do? How should the average pirate advocate for change? Or should, in your opinion, the ECU supporters just simply wait for the leaders to fix the problems?
Yeah, that's kind of a hypothetical. The realization about boards of trustee members is that that there is a time limit or a term limit on boards of trustees. We're only around for a certain period of time. You can serve 2 4-year terms, 2 full 4-year terms. Every 2 years, there's always somebody up for half the board is up for reappointment. And I think we know how people get reappointed. And trust me that the people that are making those appointments are looking at the quality of people and who's making decisions. I can tell you right now, and all I can comment about, is the folks that are on our board now. And I can tell you that the good thing is when we sit down and discuss things, we don't all necessarily agree or have the same opinions about issues, which I believe is hugely positive. If you all agree on everything, something's wrong, number one. But we have a good camaraderie about things, and we've got some older members on there, and we've got some newer members on there, and we've got some great pirates that have come on recently that are passionate. And I can tell you that, we all hope we make the right decisions, but the people around the room that I'm in, I can tell you are some of those passionate pirates you'll come out. And I hope that when we're facing these decisions, we make the right ones. And that's what we hope as well. That's what we're trying to do. I can't speak to some of the decisions that have been made in the past. I think that they were probably trying to make them from the same angle. They may have been wrong in their assessment, or things didn't work out the way they were intended. A lot of things happen. But in the reality of the difference of, I think, where we are now is we've got stable leadership at the top. The chancellor's really the one guiding the ship and going. And we don't have a lot to do with policy or other things, but when you get it wrong, you can get it wrong. But the chancellor is really the one that can guide the ship and go from there. And having stable, competent leadership that I believe is going to be here for a long time is the biggest game changer right now.
Yeah, I agree with Scott. agree with you. Thanks for being transparent with the answers there and taking Carson's questions.
Thanks for love it, love it. Hopefully, I see him in up in Annapolis on the 27th. So,
yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, he'll be there, and I know most of us will be there. I'm going to be there. Bubba's going to be there. Matt, who's not joining us tonight, former ECU linebacker Matt Simmons, is a big part of the podcast now, and Dave is working on. Now, let me ask you something, Scott. With the recent move here by Vidant and ECU, and Vidant's going to rebrand to I don't know what the exact name is. You can tell me, but
I had an opinion about that, and this is you found out how little authority you had. I said it should be Pirate Health, but they went with ECU Health instead.
Okay, well, look, speaking of authority, can you do this? Can you get in contact with Mr. Richmond's bosses over there at ECU Health / Vidant and make sure he has off the 27th at least so he can get his ass to Annapolis?
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do, Dave. I'm actually, and I hate to say, I'll say it. I'm working all day tomorrow. About until noon when I'm playing golf, and I'm playing golf with Mike Waldron. So I'll bet him that you can go. I'm trying. I probably need a few strokes. It's been a little while, but I can usually take Mike Waldron pretty easily on the golf course. So I'll tell him, Dave, you get the day off. So you need just the 27th, or you need the week, or what am I dealing with here?
Oh, that would be nice. Yeah, no, just the 27th would be good.
All right.
We
go for the week. So,
hey, if you can get it, that'll be great. So I guess it depends on how bad you beat him, how big the bet is. But we're going to go just a few minutes left with Scott Shook. Can you stay with us for a couple more minutes, Scott?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, and then we're going to go inside the TSO locker room. Ryan Jones, the tight end, with the Bull Pirates. Very happy we're going to have him in just a few minutes. So we'll go inside the locker room with him. Speaking of Vidant, and I know people wanted to know, so I know, but I want your explanation because you're the Board of Trustees chair. People wanted to know about Vidant, ECU Health. I hear that all the time because of where I work, but I wanted you to talk about it because you're one of the big wigs, if you will, not me. So try to explain the partnership between the two.
Yeah, so ECU didn't buy Vidant or anything, so there's no transfer of assets. So Vidant will still have their board that oversees them. Mike Waldron will be CEO of Vidant, but Mike Waldron is also dean of the medical school. ECU Board of Trustees oversees the medical school, and ECU Physicians, which is our physician practice. Okay, they're the doctors that actually do things and see patients and charge money and that type of thing. So for the longest time, Vidant had physicians, we had physicians, we worked together, we worked in contrast and competition and that type of thing. Well, from now on, all of those are going to be the same. We're one practice unit. We approved a joint operating agreement where we'll set up a board of people that oversee that joint operating agreement, both from Vidant and from ECU. The assets stay with Vidant. We operate there. We share resources. They're going to change some things inside the ECU Physicians. We have to make more money in ECU Physicians, quite frankly, and we have to do some things in the medical school. So we have an executive dean of the medical school that kind of runs the day-to-day operations. But Dr. Waldron says grace over both of these. He ran a similar model in Arizona, by the way. So you had a model where the hospital and then the university system teamed together to do this. So this is a common model in healthcare about that. So they've really spent the better part of 6-7 months trying to work out, funds flow, how all this stuff comes together, lawyers on both sides. But it's been great collaboration between teamwork. They've been sitting down at the same table working these things out, and all the folks from ECU have been good. So that in a nutshell is how that process is going to work.
Thank you. And one of the things I'm very happy, as I mentioned about Chancellor Rogers, Philip Rogers being a Greenville native, obviously Rose High, he's academic. Talk about, I know one of the big the endowments, I believe it's a $500 million campaign, but one of the questions I know for folks is the top priorities for Chancellor Rogers.
As far as from a fundraising standpoint, or just from the university standpoint, or
whatever you wanted to. Yeah, that's the generic question I got. So
yeah, so part of this, and I think one of the other things you touch on when you talk about school is enrollment, and we kind of touched on this last time I was on the show, I believe, and talking about the challenges are going to be enrollment and higher education. based on the demographics. And I think developing, they hired a provost here recently last week too. That was at the other announcement that we had at the same meeting. And so that's the chief academic officer that's also in charge of enrollment. And I think that over time, we build a strategy to grow our enrollment in this challenging demographic time where the number of 18 to 24-year-olds in the country is pretty much going to shrink and stay down for an extended period of time. But you have a lot of people that are out there that need professional educational development that may have 2 years and, need a few more credits to graduate. So that adult learner, those professional programs, that's really how we're going to build our enrollment. And so I think we grow over time, but our makeup of enrollment could look radically different than it does today. I mean, you take like a Southern New Hampshire that went from a little sleepy college in New Hampshire that's grown with, I don't know how many thousands upon thousands of students that they have, that most of them never step foot on campus. But, you have that. Purdue bought Kaplan, one of the biggest educational outfits. And so the landscape of higher education is changing. The benefit for us is we've led distance education or online education for a while, but we have to take our successes and change. We can't rest on that because what it looks like and what the digital model is going to look like in the years is going to be different than what we've had been. But we've got a big start on that. And the UNC system, we're putting together a lot of things to do that. So I think that makeup of how we grow is going to be the biggest challenge that has faced the university really over the next 10 years. So him developing a strategy on that is key.
One more quick thing on enrollment. I was disappointed to see with Charlotte having a bigger enrollment than us. How do we get back into that top 2, top 3? I would love to be number 1. Let's go number 1. How do we get number 1 in enrollment in North Carolina?
Yeah, well, it's going to be something like that, right? I mean, if you look, enrollment in the system, so just to be clear, was up a little bit. But if you take out Carolina State, the other 14 institutions were flat. Some were up, some were down. We were down, okay? Charlotte was up. Appalachian State was up. I believe some of these others were up. I think that's cyclical. Charlotte's growing. They're in a growing area of the state. They're in downtown Charlotte or near it. I wouldn't want to go to school there. I'd much rather prefer East Carolina University. So, where you go and where you locate. But I really think when you see us grow and advance beyond those, and I agree with you, we can be the biggest in the state, but it won't necessarily be from freshman enrollment in Greenville. That'll still be a solid number. It'll still be a big number, but it won't be, it'll be that plus 10,000 online students that maybe live all across the country that are coming to East Carolina University.
Yeah, however, they're Pirates. Good. We got some comments, a couple comments and questions for you tonight from our viewers. Mark Calloway says, what's the political mix of the Board of Governors?
I guess you can go down and look at them, but they're appointed by the General Assembly. So, they're not all Republicans, but the vast majority of them probably are. But the General Assembly, so House and Senate, appoint all 24 members of the Board of Governors.
And a good friend of our, Pirate Owl, says, glad that our Board of Trustees Chair, Scott, vitally important to have a chair that embraces our sports program. Go Pirates.
There you go. I know I'll see Pirate Owl in Annapolis.
Yeah, no doubt about it. He's one of a kind. Appreciate it. Thank God. We need a lot of Pirate Owls, right?
No question about it. No question about it.
Yeah, huge fan of that guy since doing the Steve Logan show back in the 90s. And you hear Logan get upset at Al. I don't know Al. I kind of have flashbacks of those days. That's how much but I really love him.
Yeah.
Mark Calloway, appreciate you, Mark, as well. Scott, thank you so much for the time tonight. You always, again, have been good to us. A friend, fan of the show. We appreciate you. Thank you for most importantly, thank you for being a fan of East Carolina University.
Yeah.
38 in Annapolis. Wow.
Yeah, I knew that. So might have to get Whitey to get a bus going up there, but so for that crowd. But so I've been a Pirate since I came to school to go to East Carolina University to get an education. But I was here when we won the Peach Bowl, and I think it was the time we beat South Carolina and tore down the goalpost. That's the day I became a Pirate. And once you become a Pirate, you don't ever go back. So it's been great. I want to thank you guys for all that you do and help promote the brand of ECU and talk about ECU. I'm just glad there's a bunch of exciting things to talk about. And if I ever answer any question or be back on, or maybe I'll sit in your seat one day and ask somebody else some questions, that'd be fun too. But I look forward
anytime
to
you want to.
Yeah, I'll see if I can't see you. See if I can't get you a day off tomorrow, Dave. Wish me luck.
All right, please do. Beat him pretty badly for me, okay?
I will.
I'll get the whole week off. All right, Scott, thank you so much. Hope you have a great night.
I appreciate it.
All right,
Thanks.
good night. Thanks to Scott Shook. Appreciate him very much, as we are so excited to have him. And now we're going to go inside the locker room if we can, the TSO locker room with Ryan Jones heading to the Military Bowl. Very excited for him. He was one of the key factors, the X factors, to get of course, the Pirates here and with us right now. How does it feel, Mr. Ryan Jones, going to the Military Bowl? Glad to have you back. We're inside the locker room. I'm so happy for you guys. I really, truly, sincerely am. We're not.
Ron, we cannot hear you.
Unfortunately, we can't hear Ryan.
Yeah, you're
There you
muted. He
go. All
muted
right.
himself.
There you go.
Yeah,
How do you feel about going to?
Yeah, it's a great feeling. Just finally here now. I mean, it's like probably like 2-3 weeks till we get down there, but just the whole bowl prep and everything. Like everyone's just super energized and just ready to get down there and just play. You know, so I mean, we're just all in like real good spirits and just feel good.
Ron, you're one of the few guys on the team that have been to a bowl because of your time in Oklahoma, but you mentioned that you hadn't won a bowl. So how important is it to you to go down there and beat these Boston College Eagles and get win number 8 in your first bowl win?
I mean, that would be huge. I mean, definitely just getting the ring out of that bowl game would be huge. Because I mean, like before, like I mean, I've been, but I always come out with the L. So I mean, coming out with the dub would be pretty fun.
Do you being a guy that played at Oklahoma in a Power 5 school, do you get the I mean, I'm sure you do. The so-called group of 5 mess and how much the Pirates, because of the location with NC State, UNC, et cetera, how much we love beating ACC schools as a fan base.
Yeah. No, I've definitely like noticed that around here. I think just in our conference, it's kind of just like there's a lot of powerhouse schools in our conference, so it's kind of, I don't know, a lot of guys are just like that towards like the Big 12, but I can feel like the rivalry with ACC schools here, especially.
No doubt about it. I think Bubba wanted to ask you a question, right, Bubba?
Yeah, Ryan, kind of along the lines of what Kyle was mentioning with your background in Oklahoma, having played in bowl games and very big bowl games at that, college football playoff. Just talk about, what you've shared with your teammates as far as the bowl experience and what they can expect here in a couple weeks in Annapolis.
Yeah, really, I mean, the main thing I've tried to like express to them is like to basically enjoy your time down there. Because I mean, of course it's a big game, but at the same time, it's like it's something that you're gonna remember for the rest of your life. So even like the times I've been to bowl games and lost, like it's still been a great time. So I mean, definitely getting down there to Annapolis and coming out with the dub for the bowl game would be huge.
Ron, I believe you guys, the team is going to stay in DC. If that's correct, I don't know if I'm wrong. Yeah. Tell me. Have you visited DC very often, or are the guys looking forward to that trip, seeing some of the the memorials? And I don't know how much college kids get excited about seeing the Lincoln Memorial and stuff, but I mean, you look forward to going to DC.
Definitely. I know we're staying at a hotel near the White House. And I mean, I've never been to DC or seen the White House in person. So just experiencing something like that would be pretty fun.
No doubt about it. One of the things I'm excited about is you guys play an ACC opponent. You got Boston College. I mean, I know that you're young, but I was a kid when Doug Flutie threw a Hail Mary. That's one of the most famous college football plays ever. And of course, he's a Boston College quarterback, and so. But they're always tough, physical, great defense. But you guys, I think it's an evenly matched game. I really do. It's not like it's East Carolina's David versus Goliath, giant killer kind of thing. I really believe it's going to be a really good football game. The line is 3 points, a field goal, if you will, and I'm looking forward to it. I want to see a whole bunch of people to go to Annapolis. I want to see a lot of, how about you, Ryan, a lot of purple and gold there at the Naval Academy.
For sure. We got to make that the bowl game a home game for us. So everyone travel down to Annapolis and give us all the love and support we need.
Have you had a chance to watch much film yet? What are you seeing out of BC on defense. Typically, they're pretty physical. I did hear that they have trouble, maybe a little trouble getting pressure on the quarterback this year.
Yeah, I mean they're a big defense. I mean, but honestly, after we played Cincy, I feel like just the move that the whole team has, even though we didn't come out how we wanted to against Cincinnati, we're pretty we're just uplifted. Like we feel like we can play with any opponent really. But yeah, Boston College, they have a big defense. They kind of play have like an odd front majority of the time, but yeah, they definitely they're a solid team. So I mean, we're definitely gonna have to come to play, but our confidence that we have in each other and like our coaches are extremely high right now. So that's the way we're practicing. Everything's going real well.
Ryan, I had sent some screenshots to Bubba, and I don't know if he had a chance to share them with you from the Boston College message board over on the 24/7 site, where some of their fans aren't too fired up about playing East Carolina. They, talking about a group of 5 opponent, and they were going to have to play a group of 5 opponent. They'd rather played SMU or Houston. But, the good thing about playing East Carolina is at least it's a team they should be able to beat. Well, what do you think about
that? I mean, fans are always going to have their opinion. Either way, they got to play us. So I just hope they come ready to play. That's all I know.
Hey, Kyle, Kyle. Ryan wants to play the game. He doesn't want to be benched. So, I know Coach Houston was like, "Don't say anything. Don't say anything."
That's the right response. He had the right response.
That's because Ryan's very smart. But that mentality, though, you know what? That's great. If they, there's so many times when you can go back to Ryan 95, right after my senior year. We played in the Liberty Bowl against Stanford. They were making fun of us. They were talking about Stanford, like, where's Eastern Carolina? They made fun of our name and all kinds of stuff, and we beat them. So, that's the thing, is that you never underestimate your opponent. I mean, that's athletics 101. Never underestimate your opponent.
Of course. So I just hope they come ready to play. I know we are. So
I personally love it. I as a fan, I love it. I love when these so-called Power 5 schools disrespect the Pirates. It fires me up, and I want you guys to see it. And my favorite one of all time, Ryan. I don't know if you know this story. Back in 2014, we were playing North Carolina, and the previous year, Pirates beat UNC in Chapel Hill, and one of their players, Bubba may remember his name, made the comments that East Carolina beat us, and now they think they're above us, but East Carolina ain't never been above us, and we're gonna have to show them, where they belong, and then we put 70 points on them. Yeah. It's always nice when you're underestimated.
Yeah, I mean that's why I think it's best to just let your play talk.
Yep.
No need to add extra fuel. Just let your play do it.
Now, what about? I know obviously you can't talk about recruiting, obviously, but do you know anybody that obviously that I know we've picked up? We'll talk about that. Well, I guess we can go ahead and do that. What about the transfer from West Virginia that came in? They played, I know, JV when you were a junior and senior from Mallard Creek. Can you talk about him? That we picked him up. I think he was just committed. I think
he committed this morning.
Dave
posted it this morning.
Yeah, Dave. At this point, it's probably best to steer clear of that since it's just a commitment, and then we can talk to Ryan about that here in a little over a week after he's signed.
All right. Well, anyway, okay. Thank you for that. But anyway, we'll talk later about that. But have you, as a current player, how big of a role do you think you play in? I'll ask it generically. How big of a role do you play in bringing guys in, knowing that you're an older guy and not like you're not a freshman yourself?
I would say, I've definitely, I would say from the aspect with the offensive tackle, like I've known him for a real long time, and he kind of looks up to me as like a big brother in a sense. Definitely being an older guy and like guys knowing like the process I've been through. So not like whenever they come, I can talk to them about my experiences since I've been here for a year, and just basically tell them how it is. That's really all I can do. I feel like I have some impact on them because what I tell them is real. I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. So I think I have an impact a little bit, but I'm not too sure.
Hey, now Ryan, just in a general sense, and not about guys that specifically went to your high school, but just generally speaking, be it you or your teammates, when guys come on campus for official visits, just talk about how important you are. And because Coach Houston and the staff, they're always saying, hey, if we can get them on campus and let them see everything East Carolina has to offer and get them with our guys, then we stand.
They're referring to the coach is referring to the co-eds. He just can't say it, Bubba.
We stand an excellent chance, and I'm sure that is undoubtedly part of the equation.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like once you get on campus, like East Carolina is a special place, and it's a true college town. So I mean, once you get on campus and just see the love that the fans have for the players, and just that everyone has for the program and just sports in general, and just the pride that they have for East Carolina University, I mean, it's a special place. So I mean, just getting on campus and meeting the teammates, the coaches, and just you can see the actual care they have for the school and the pride that they have to call themselves a pirate. Like that's pretty huge.
Ron, you guys had success in Annapolis earlier this year. Obviously, won up there on the last second field goal. Do you think that's going to play an advantage? You guys are already playing up there. You won up there. Besides the fact I think we'll probably have more fans than BC, does the familiarity give you more confidence?
Yeah, I mean, previously playing at that field, I mean, we know how the field is. We know how kind of like the wind blows and everything, but only thing that's going to be the main factor is that cold, because it was cold last game. I think the 27th it might be down there. So, but I mean, I feel like we could have a little field advantage, especially if the fans show up and give us all the support. So that'll be the main difference in the game. It's how the fans show up.
Yep. That is huge. We've got to get our goal is to get 10,000 at least. That's our show's goal. Hopefully we can get way more. That would be awesome to break that record. In fact, it's up on the screen for those watching live or archive. Just call 1-800-ECU or ECUPirates.com. How big of a factor this year? We talked about a little bit, but having those fans back, that makes a big difference. It will make a huge difference in a bowl game, right?
Yeah, yes, sir. Because I mean, any home field advantage you can get, and having fans there, that will definitely throw them off. It'll guys not be able to hear the snap count and everything. So having fans at the game is a huge part of the game.
Brian, do you have any idea what the bowl swag is going to be for the Military Bowl? And what is the best bit of bowl swag or gifts or whatever it's called you've gotten from a bowl?
I would say the best I've gotten was probably like when I was at OU, we got the little customized Jordans, but we would just get those for the little the media day. But still, getting those is pretty cool. But we haven't seen what we're getting for the bowl game yet. But from what I heard, it's going to be nice. So I mean, I'm excited.
Good deal.
Get a PlayStation 5. Let me know. No, I'm just kidding. If I hear some like the different game systems, I'm like, man, that's incredible to get something like that. But it's going to be a lot of fun.
Is there anything you're hoping for, Ryan? You mentioned a PS5. Is there anything you got on your mind? Like, damn, I hope I get that.
Honestly, I might. I don't know. They have like a lazy boy or something. I might get that because I already have a PlayStation. I need some like a little recliner or something. Put that in the
a recliner, not what I was expecting.
I love it. You're my kind of guy. I love a recliner. Absolutely. How's practice been with you guys? We haven't had a chance to talk to you very much, obviously, but how has that gone?
Practice has been good. We mainly like before we knew our opponent, because we started practicing last week. It was more so just like sharpening up on things that we felt we need to improve on from the regular season. So, I mean, I feel like with what we've been doing so far, we've really cleaned up on things and just sharpened our tools for, like, once we got our opponents. So now we're getting into Boston College, and we're kind of still taking it slow since the game is so far away. But just like the little things we've installed and everything, it's been going pretty smooth.
When do you guys leave? When do you guys leave for DC and Annapolis?
We leave I want to say the 23rd.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to say the 23rd.
Ryan, as far as academically off the field, I know you guys have had exams. How are those gone for you guys? And I know you'll be happy to have those over. You can just concentrate on playing football.
Yeah, I just had one yesterday. Had an 84 on it, so I'm feeling good. Had it in macro. I got another one, the 12. So I'm still going. I'll be finished next week, but I'm hyped about the one from yesterday.
That's awesome. That's definitely higher than I ever got. So not really. In some classes, that would be really, really good. I know exactly what you're saying. You pray for
Yeah,
a C, you pray for a B, and no doubt about it. Very
yeah,
excited
God help me
to,
on that one.
no doubt, divine intervention. I feel you on that. Statistics was my hardest class at ECU.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. That was the one I had the most trouble with. Do you have anything before you go to Pirate Now? Message to Pirate Nation. We're trying so hard, like I was saying, to sell some tickets. It would mean a lot coming from you, I think.
Yeah, just if everyone can just help us down there, we need all the support we can get. We're gonna put on a show. We're gonna put on the show, play the best we can. So I mean, we just need everybody down there to just be behind us and celebrate with us after the win. So that'll be huge.
And folks, you better go ahead and get your hotel rooms. I'm trying to find one. Got to do
Yep.
that tonight, no doubt. Ryan, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. We'll let you get back to studying and all that you're doing. Thanks for carving out some time inside the TSO locker room. And I know we'll talk to you before, but certainly go Pirates. Good luck to you guys. And I know practice is going to go very well.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Ryan.
We're inside the locker room. Thanks, Ryan, inside the locker room there, TSO. And we appreciate Ryan so much for all he has done for us and certainly for East Carolina. Guys, it's going to be tremendous. I'm so excited. We've got, Kyle, talk about the great content we've had, man. We've had a lot of good. This has been one of the best weeks ever in the history of our show, almost 4 years.
Yeah, we had John Gilbert earlier today, so that's something you can go check out on YouTube. Definitely go check that out. A lot of good information from the John Gilbert interview at youtube.com. And while you're there watching the interview, why don't you go ahead and subscribe to our channel and share that interview with people. Let other people hear it. Earlier in the week, we had Jeff Jakuzinski. That content's available on YouTube also, and wherever you can listen to podcasts. We had Cliff Godwin. You can check that out on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. I mean, am I missing anything, guys?
We had the play-by-play voice of, obviously, we had
Pete Medhurst, the Last
Pete
Night
Medhurst.
Marathon podcast. We had Pete Medhurst on, and go back and listen to that one. That's a good show, rather long show, but a very good show. A lot of good information about Annapolis with Pete. Pete lived in Annapolis for a number of years. So if you want to know some tips on restaurants and bars and different places to check out while you're up in Annapolis, go back and listen to our interview with Pete Medhurst from last night.
No doubt. In fact, we also had John Meter-Perrell, the play-by-play voice of Boston College. We have him as well. So we've got a lot of great content to come. In fact, as far as John Gilbert and Cliff Godwin, I know we're going to put that out. So we'll have that out in addition to one we're doing right now. We'll have that more out like for a weekend podcast that you can hear. I know Bubba will be working on that. Appreciate you, Bubba, for all that you do behind the scenes, and certainly that. But we've been working really hard. There's a lot of stuff like the Army-Navy game. That's why we had Pete Medhurst. We have nice to be talking about football, Kyle, in December, meaning that we're still playing and not the future. And by the way, folks, once again, get your tickets 1-800-DIAL-ECU, ECUPirates.com. Go through our ticket office as we get to keep most of the money. I believe it's up to, is it 250,000, Kyle?
Yeah, that's what Gilbert said.
Yeah.
So yeah, if ECU can fulfill your needs, go to ECUPirates.com to get your tickets. If you have a, maybe if you want to sit at the club level, or you need handicap seating, or maybe you need you can't afford, maybe you're taking a crowd and you can't afford the most expensive seats. There are seats on the hill for $40. In the Military Bowl website is good for those things, but otherwise, buy your tickets through ECUPirates.com.
Very excited about that. A lot of great things going on. And of course, we appreciate Scott Shook, the ECU Board of Trustees chair, coming on tonight. He's always been very good to us and very candid and a lot of fun. And we appreciate him being a
week. I mean, we have Shook on, we have Gilbert on, we have Cliff Godwin on. Pete Medhurst is always a great guest. You don't want to forget Jeff Jagosinski, former Boston College head coach, East Carolina assistant. Was this sweeps week? I mean, did it move from April to December?
That's how we roll. That's how we roll. One of the great things I hear, including another person tonight said to me off air, is that you guys always have great guests, and I can't disagree with him for sure. We're going to have a lot of fun, obviously, keep coming up as we give you more and more guests, including we're trying to get some really big guests to come on for the.
Yeah, if we can pull one of these guests off, we won't tease it. We won't tease it just yet because we want to see if we can pull it off. But if it happens, then guys, we might break the internet. So we'll see what happens. And guys, if anybody out there wants Dave to sleep in their hotel room with them, just let him know, because Dave's looking for a hotel room. He's hoping he can get off, so he hadn't booked one yet, and he didn't think he'd be able to, but trying to work things out. Dave's having trouble finding quality hotel there in the Annapolis area at an affordable price. So maybe Dave can sleep on the floor of your hotel room. I don't know.
Yeah. Tom Bodette said he would leave the light on for me, so I think I'll be good at Motel 6.
There is no Motel 6 in Annapolis. I checked several different ones just to see if they were there. The Red Roof Inn is closed. I'd love to know why the Red Roof Inn closed. I always like a good Red Roof Inn. That's always a quality, cheap hotel. I'll tell you a quick story before we go. I booked the Red Roof Inn. Was not familiar with North Charleston. Did not realize North Charleston to Charleston is like East Kinston versus, I don't know, pick somewhere. So I got the Red Roof Inn in North Charleston. Said, hell, this thing is super cheap compared to all the hotels in Charleston. And
I didn't know this story.
Yeah, we got there, and boy, let me tell you something. It's a good thing I'm not intimidated easily, and nobody bothers. It was cool, but man, when we first pulled in, it looked like we were in the middle of a gang fight. Looked like there was drug deals going down, and we had a nice corner room. Nobody bothered us. It was cool, but it was a lot of people would have just left in that situation. Not me, baby. Not me. I said I'm paying the cheap rates and toughing it out.
Yeah, I have the presidential. I just booked it right now. I got the presidential suite at the Dewdrop Inn. So.
All right, there you go. Hey, look, there is some rooms available, but you better get it tonight, Dave. Or you're going to end up staying in Bowie or over towards Baltimore.
Yep.
So I'd get it while it's still available.
All right, we'll do that. And fans, again, go to ECUPirates.com, get your tickets, or one more time, 1-800-DIAL-ECU. Go ahead and get your tickets. Let's do that. And by the way, Kyle and Bubba, one more thing, and we're going to get out of here, Bubba. I saw today, I'm very hurt that it's good for our baseball program. The baseball banquet sold out. I saw on Twitter. So very sad to see that. But hey, that's a good problem to have, and that says a lot about Cliff Godwin and our baseball program. But it sold out, right, Bubba?
Excited to see it, but sad to see it from a selfish standpoint. But hey, that's a great problem to have. And one thing I will throw out there, Johnny Gardner and I were discussing this earlier, and that is he's seen some other folks mention it on social media and so forth. And that is, given that it's sold out 2 months in advance, why not do what you did last year and sell virtual tickets where people can watch it virtually. I think what was an adult ticket is what, $40 or $45. I think that's correct.
I'd pay it virtually for that. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean the in person this year is $40 or $45. Yeah. So virtually, why not allow people to see it since the
I got a better idea, Bubba.
Since the event's sold out, well, let $10, $15, $20 or whatever.
No, I got a much better idea. This is just what a brainstorming idea than a stupid virtual ticket. If you sell out something 2 months in advance, put it in a bigger venue and sell more tickets. How about that? What an idea!
Yeah, because right now it's capped at 600, right?
Yeah, it's at the new ECU It's at the new ECU Student Center.
What are we using? What are we using? How many people can we? Isn't there some kind of facility at Talmac Tower? I mean, is there something in there? I mean, we ought to find a facility.
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure that is the largest on campus as far as being able to host that number of people.
What date is it?
February the 5th.
February, yeah, 5th. Saturday, February.
What's that?
Do we have a
I
home
don't know, but
basketball game?
they've done it at Minji's in the past, but still, you think of the floor Minji's, I don't know how much difference.
Oh, you can get way more than 600 people on the floor at Minji's. I mean, I don't know how seating is done.
When you have the chairs and everything that's involved, I don't know. That's a good question for maybe Brian Meador, or somebody within the athletic department.
I'll tell you who need to ask that would know is Gary Overton. That's the person
Coach O from when we've had it. Yeah, no doubt. From when we've had it there in the past, both I think under Billy and Cliff.
No doubt.
Yeah, but we got to be able to look. And I'm not trying to be an asshole about it, but if we've sold 600 tickets already, and you guys both want to go, I guarantee they'd probably sell another 200 tickets. And why not do it? I can't imagine that we can't find somewhere bigger to have the dang thing.
That's a good question to ask, but just right now, as of right now, and the current environment, format, if you will, they've sold out. We'll see how a good problem to have. We'll find out if they're going to move it, if they're going to keep it like they're doing. We'll see. But another thing, guys, I guess it's a good thing that it sells out. So maybe next year you can say, hey, you better go ahead and get your tickets, or certainly you can. I mean, it's sold out pretty fast, though, guys. A matter of days, right? Only a handful of days it's sold out.
Yeah, very quickly.
6 days.
Such a popular event, and not only the dinner and the speakers this year. A couple former Pirates. You have Clayton McCullough, first base coach for the LA Dodgers, and then also Connor Norby, who was one of the stars on last year's team and tremendous second baseman, and now in the Baltimore Orioles organization.
I think they should move it to Dowdy Picklin's football field on February 5th and just see what happens.
That would be electric. That would be great. Yeah, we could get 50,000 plus there. That would be. That's you want to talk about fundraising, man. That'll be fantastic. But I do think the virtual idea, if they can't move it to the venue, then Bubba, between both of y'all, I think you're onto something there for sure. All right. Do we have anything before we go?
Nothing.
How about you, Bubba?
No, just like you mentioned earlier, you subscribe to YouTube and definitely go and check out those interviews with Cliff Godwin, John Gilbert, etc. And if you prefer the podcast form, they will be releasing podcast form here in the next day or two.
Well, that's right. We are the unofficial podcast of the Pirates for a reason, and I think our content speaks for itself. All right. For Scott Shook, we appreciate him very much tonight. And, of course, Ryan Jones inside the TSO locker room. For Kyle Bubba, I'm Dave Richmond. You've been watching and listening to The Sports Objective. Good night, everybody. And as always, go Pirates.